Good day everyone, welcome to Matt Hill's Scale Models. This video is an update on the Matchbox Dornier Do18 and a little bit of progress on it so far. We've run into a couple little issues with it, and I'll just point those out while we go, while I'm going. So while I sprayed the interior with some Model Air RLM02 and some of the other cockpit components, and while I was waiting for it to dry, I thought I'd put on these little pontoon sponsons here on the side. Required a little bit of filler, and the filler, I didn't want to have it so it was completely flush. There's got to be a seam line down here still, just it was really poorly fitting there. So I worked some Tamiya, just this grey basic putty which I like to use, and then sand it back, and then carefully use the back of my old Mawson scalpel blade here. It's got like a nice smooth round edge on the back, and then I just carefully went down into the putty, and even though it was dry, it left an indentation in there to mark a panel line, because otherwise these lines would be running to nowhere. Cleaned up the underneath the same, but the issue that I've got now, and I'll show you with the tip of the scalpel blade, and hopefully it'll come up, and it's probably something, if you build this kit, it might have that same issue. The panel lines on either side of the sponsoon here don't line up. This one does in a couple of spots. This one on the other side is horrendous. The panel lines are out quite a way. So what I'm going to have to try to do is fill these in with some CA glue, and then re-scrub them back in so I get a nice finish on the panel lines here. The other thing I have been doing, after I fit the interior in, I noticed with this part, especially on the wing sections, which are done, but I'll show you that in another video, but there is a lot of injector, well, there's some sink marks here where the moulding, in the moulding process, and I'll have to look at my original issue Matchbox kit, so these are going to have to be filled. And then once I fill those, I did see a couple of photos of these, and I couldn't really see many panel lines on them, but I'll double check that, because this hasn't got a panel line on it. So I might do a bit of scribing on some panel lines just to bring it up to a bit more standard of today's kit. The cockpit itself is not too bad. It has a instrument panel with some dials on it. You're not going to see much once it's in there. I'm just doing a little bit of dry brushing and add some details to the instrument panels. I've done the machine gun positions here, just sprayed them with RLM02, and I've just brushed up the seats using the kit seats, and I will add some homemade harnesses to those. The wing sections are glued together. These fitted better when I remove the actual little locating pins on the inside, and then I did use some of my black dyed Mr. Cement glue, black. As you can see, it probably looks a little bit messy in a couple of spots, but it does sand out and gives you a nice sort of line to see where you put the glue in. A couple of bits of spillage there on the side, but yeah, it's all got to be wet and dried down first. I have got panel line detail on here, those big old Matchbox panel lines, so they look okay. I have built the engine nacelle. I haven't put the windows in here because I'm going to make my own windows. this is the piece I really don't like in the tooling. It's very chunky in the panel lines here, but it will do. There's two intakes here on the top which are molded solid. Once I clean these up, I'm going to try to open them up a little bit, just to get a little bit of realism to it. And then the fit of the parts, the wings are not a very little bit of a panel line, a little bit of a gap there, which I think will be easy to fill on the top. Underneath on both sets of wings, it's a little bit different, but all this has to be sanded. There's some sink marks here in the moulding in the rear of the engine nacelle. The fit, which I've dry fitted these parts, because I think you can never dry fit parts enough before you put glue on them. But the engine should be a reasonable fit in there. Probably just a little bit of filler. You can see there's a little gap just here. I'm thinking though with some careful gluing and then a little bit of filler, she might go together well without too much trouble. So that's where I'm up to on this. I'll get a wash put in and some seat belts are put on soon. Close these sections up, redo some scribing work on these pieces here either side, and then I can concentrate on doing some of the big sub-assemblies and getting some paint on. So thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you've got this kit in the stash, don't be afraid to have a crack at it. It's something very different to build, and I hope it turns out well, and you might learn some bits and pieces about this kit. Try to get you out of trouble to get a better result. So next time, thank you to all my new subscribers. Be safe, model hard, a little bit of effort, you can get a good result from an old model kit. Cheers.